Good morning, friends around the world. Let's begin our meditation this morning with a question. Is my thinking always right? Well, maybe this meditation is not for you if you think it is. But for the rest of us, especially in these very difficult times, I believe our thinking can become skewed. You see, when we're feeling down, it can be helpful to remember that bad moods, for example, can trigger error in our thinking that makes our thoughts overly negative and inaccurate. Learning these common errors in thinking can help us recognize our thoughts are untrue. It also encourages us not to automatically believe our thoughts. Let me say that again. It also encourages us not to automatically believe our thoughts. When we're in a low mood, we can identify which errors in thinking are present and then more effectively challenge our thoughts. Let's consider some of the common errors in thinking, and maybe we'll be able to identify them in our own thinking process. 1. Dualistic thinking. Viewing things in black or white, good or bad, right or wrong. Thinking that has no middle. Being able to only place something in one of two boxes. Psychologists call this tribal or primitive thinking. Life sometimes causes us to think and thus respond this way out of a need for safety and security. But for the most part, most of us seldom remain in that needed state of thinking. We can rise above the base level of human thinking. An example of this would be, if something is not perfect, we think of it as a failure or a waste of time. Or if you're not like me and I think I'm good, then you must be bad. Dualistic thinking is absolutely necessary for a racist. 2. Mental filter. Picking out and dwelling on a single negative event or aspect and focusing solely on it while ignoring the whole picture. Applying a mental filter is similar to tunnel vision, where someone only focuses on and sees the negative parts of a situation. When someone receives feedback about his or her work that is very positive, except for one criticism, he or she only focuses on the critical remark. 3. Discounting the positive, rejecting all positive aspects of an experience and generating reasons why they don't count or they're not important. Here's an example. I just got lucky. Anyone could have done what I did. 4. Feelings are not facts. Thinking that because a certain feeling is present, it must be true and a direct reflection of reality, regardless of any contrary evidence. Example. Someone may tell himself or herself, because their situation feels hopeless, it must be hopeless. Or if someone feels very anxious and scared about something, it's proof that he or she is in danger. 5. Overgeneralization. Overgeneralization is the process of taking one negative outcome or event and applying it to all areas of one's life. If a man asks a woman out on a date and she declines, he may think to himself, "This always happens when I try to find a girlfriend. I'll always be alone and never find someone." 6. Jumping to conclusions. This includes mind reading and fortune telling. Mind reading happens when we attribute intentions, attitudes, beliefs, or other mental activities to another person and simply assume that these are the case. An example would be, assume that someone is thinking negative thoughts about you. Fortune telling involves predicting that the outcome will be negative. An example, I know that you won't like what I have to say, but... 7. Personalization and blame. Personalization occurs when Someone thinks they are solely responsible for the outcome of an event and ignores other contributing factors. The opposite of personalization is blame. That happens when someone holds another person fully responsible for something without examining his or her own impact. 8. Labeling. Labeling is applying a fixed, broad label to oneself or others that then shapes our experience and view of reality. Example, I'm worthless, or he's a selfish person. 9. Denial of change. Denial of change occurs when we become upset, indignant, or deny the reality that our lives are in a constant state of flux, and that situation and people are also constantly changing. Here's an example, which is so true with myself. Becoming very upset when our bodies age and we can no longer do all the things that we used to be able to do. Let's spend the rest of the time we have together this morning and consider these things. It's important to note that everyone has these errors in their thinking. Please be careful not to judge or beat up on yourself when you notice your thoughts contain some of these errors. Becoming aware of these negative thinking patterns can provide an opportunity to identify times when you're not thinking accurately, and then compassionately notice and correct them. What area of my thinking do I need to look at today? Dualistic thinking? Mental filter? Discounting the positive? Feelings are not facts? Overgeneralization? Jumping to conclusions? Personalization and blame? Labeling? Or denial of the change?